Are you seeing how it looks like? Fitted. Fitted. Perfect princess cut. I'm going to make a princess dart gown without joining at the waist area. That is it's not going to have any joining at the waist. What we are going to do is to take our shoulder measurement. Shoulder divided by 2 is 7 inches plus half inch for sewing allowance, and I have 7.5. Since we are not using pattern, we are drafting directly to our fabric. Then our neck width is 3 inches. Shoulder slope go down by 1 inch and connect to the neck width like this. We are drafting the first pattern first, and our fabric is folded into 2. Then my armhole measurement is 8 inches. This is 8 inches. My bust point is 11 inches. Here is 11 inches. My under bust is 14.5 inches. Shoulder to under bust 14.5. Then waist 16.5. Hip line, from my shoulder to my hip line, I have 26 inches. Or you can sit down and measure from your waist to your hip, okay? I have 26 inches for my hip line, and my full gown length is 45 inches plus 2 inches hemming allowance, and I have 47 inches here. Here is our bust. Here is our bust, under bust, waist, hip line, then our gown length. There is my armhole. Okay, before you fold your fabric into 2, to avoid wastage of fabric, just fold the largest part of your body, that is the hip, divide by 4, then add extra 4 to 6 inches. If you are on the big side, you can add extra 5 to 6 inches. If you are small or the medium size, you can add like 4 inches or 5 inches to your largest body measurement, divide by 4, okay? We'll be taking our nipple to nipple measurement, and my nipple to nipple measurement is 7, divide by 2, I have 3.5. That 3.5 on the bust area, I'm going to add half an inch to the bust area, just the bust area, and I'll be having 4 inches. But on the other side, I'm going to mark exactly 3.5 inches, like this. Then okay, this is what we have. Our neck depth is 4 inches. our armhole, divide by 2, locate the midpoint, and I have 4. Then go in by half an inch. We are going to insert our darts. So this curve we just made, you measure the curve and divide it into 2. And I have 10 inches, so divide by 2, it will be 5 inches. And here is my 5 inches. Then connect to your bust. Like this. We'll be using a dart of 0.75 inch on both sides of this line, this midpoint. 0.75 on this side and 0.75 on the other side. Then we'll connect the dart to our bust. But before connecting it directly to our bust, we'll be going up by 1 inch away from our bust. This is so that you don't have a very sharp edge or sharp bend around your nipple points, okay? Then you connect like this. And the other dart, you connect it this way. Okay. So the last mark here, the last dart here, the one that is here, will be going up by 1.5 inch because our dart is 1.5 inch. Remember, we took away 0.75 on the other side and 0.75 on the right side. So when you combine them together, we have 1.5 inches. So that is what we are going to extend from this line, from the last line here. We'll extend by 1.5 inch and connect it. We also extend the armhole by 1.5 inch too. This is 1.5 inch. So we are going to connect a new armhole from this point to this point. This is so that you don't have any shortage when you are sewing. Okay. On the underbust, we are going to go in by 2 inches. If you are on the big side, you can use 2.5 or 3 inches for your dart, but I'm going to be using 2 inches for my dart. 2 inches all the way to your gown length, 2 inches all through. 2 inches and 2 inches. Okay, then we are going to connect to our bust, but before that, you still go in from your bust point, you still go down by 1 inch. Then you use your French curve to connect to your underbust. From your underbust, like this, you connect. Then you blend like this. This is so you will not have any form of sharp bend at your nipple. Our dress is getting ready. So we are going to take our actual body measurements. My bust divided by 4, I have 9.25. 9.25 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Sewing allowance. This is so that you use 1 inch for the cut here, because we are going to cut all through. You are going to use 1 inch to join here and the other 1 inch for your seam allowance. My underbust divided by 4, I have 8 inches 8 inches. Here is 8 inches plus 2 inches we took away from our dart, and another 2 inches for our sewing allowance. My waist divided by 4 is 7.5 plus 2 inches for our dart, another 2 inches for our sewing allowance. My hip divided by 4 is 9.5 plus our dart 2 inches and our sewing allowance 2 inches. Then on the hem, on the gown length, I'm going to reduce. I'm supposed to use exactly what I used on the hip for the gown length, but I'm going to reduce 1 inch because I don't want it to be a straight gown. I want it to be a bit spent, so a bit fitted, okay? So instead of using 9.5 inches I use for my hip here, I'm going to reduce it by 1 inch, and I have 8.5 inches plus 2 inches dart and 2 inches sewing allowance. So I'm going to connect everything, my gown length to my hip, my hip to my waist, under bust and armhole, like this. We are going to cut out now. So now we are going to cut out the back part. And the back part, we are not going to be using a normal dart. We are going to be having a princess dart on our back. We are drafting our back now. And because our back is going to be having a princess cut, that is why we also need all this underbust line. And before then, this part is open. Here is our line for the zip. I use 1.5 inches for our zipper allowance, okay? Here is our zipper allowance, 1.5 inch, before you start your actual measurements. So first, we are going to insert our dart, and I said my nipple to nipple measurement is divided by 2 is 3.5 inches, but on the bust part we are going to be adding half inch, that is 4 inches here. Then on the rest part of the measurement we'll be using exactly 3.5 inches. Okay. Our back armhole don't need to go in by 0.75. From the midpoint of our armhole, we are going up by 1 inch, up this way, 1 inch. Then take a straight line to meet our bust point. Like this. And blend so that you don't have any form of sharpness. Then we'll be going up again by 1 inch. Since we are going to cut the dart through and we'll be needing ½ inch to join them together. So that ½ inch we are going to use to join them together. That is what we are extending here. ½ inch, ½ inch. That is 1 inch. We extend it this way so that you don't have any form of shortage. And you also add that 1 inch here. And we create another armhole. Like this. Then let's take our actual body measurements. My bust divided by 4 is 9.25. 9.25 plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. Under bust I have 8 inches plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. Waist I have 7.5 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance. My hip 9.5 inches here plus sewing allowance. And on the hem, on the gown length, remember I removed 1 inch from our measurements for our gown length. So I'm still going to do the same thing I did for the front, for the back. So instead of having 9.5 inches here for our hip, I'm going to be using 8.5 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Then we rule. Instead of using 9.25, I use 9.5. So here is 9.25 plus my 2 inches is here. Remember to blend before cutting out. And on the waist part for our zipper, there is what I normally do. I normally remove ½ inch around the waist. I remove ½ inch and cut it out. This will help your zip not to bulge. Like this. Then we are going to cut out. Here is our back. Okay, we are going to be cutting out our sleeve, and I'll be making a cap sleeve, the one that stops at your upper arm. We are folding this fabric into two and fold again because we are cutting the two sleeves together. Here is the folded part. Here is the folded part. So my armhole plus 1 inch I'll be making use of 9.5 inches. Then my cap, that is from shoulder to your upper arm, I have 4 inches. And I'll be taking that 4 inches down here too. I'll be connecting here to here in a curved way, either with your free hand or your French curve. But before then, from this point, I'm going down by half inch. This is half inch. Then I will curve. I'll curve to meet that half inch. Then I'll curve till I get to the top of the sleeve, like this. Okay, like this. Then where I want my sleeve to stop, that is the sleeve length, I'll be using 5 inches, since I said it's a cap sleeve, plus 1 inch for sewing, let's say 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. And I have 6.5 inches here. 6.5 inches. Then the roundness of my sleeve is 12 inches. Divided by 2 is 6 inches plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, and I have 7 inches here. This is 7 inches. Then I'll curve. Normally I don't use ruler to connect it like this. I like curving it. I normally curve it this way. Then I'll notch the midpoint, and our sleeve is ready. So let's move straight to the sewing machine. Before you start sewing, if you have the time, you can pin before sewing, okay? So you join everything together. This is the front. You join the front together. For the back, you fix your zip and also sew the sides together. So you sew with half inch. Before we move to the sewing machine, we are going to cut out our facing. So I'm just placing my back pattern on the fabric. You fold it into 2. That is our back facing. Our front facing, remember our center front doesn't have an opening, so your facing should also be folded, so it will not have an opening. And here is our front facing. So we'll move straight to the sewing machine. Okay, I've joined all the sides and I've attached my zip too. And I went ahead to fix my sleeve. I've fixed my sleeve. So what is left for me to do is to fold my sleeve and sew the side seams too. Here's the front. Here's the front. Are you seeing how it looks like? Fitted. Perfect princess cut. So I hope you are going to try it